Welcome to SportsBeat KC, the Kansas City Star's daily sports podcast. It's Wednesday, October 7th, and I'm Blair Kirchhoff. It's been a while, but we finally catch up with Shaun Goodwin, who covers soccer for the Star, and there's plenty to talk about. Sporting Kansas City continues to roll along and maintains its position second in the MLS West. And the big news since the last time we talked, the 2-year contract extension for Johnny Russell, who's been playing great over the past few weeks. But we start with the news in the NWSL. The report by The Athletic that alleges abuse by a coach was a terrible blow for the league. Last weekend's games were canceled and the commissioner resigned. U.S. Women's National Team coach Vlatko Andonovski from Kansas City and KC NWSL coach Hugh Williams addressed the topic on Tuesday, and you'll hear from Andonovski during the show. So let's get started talking soccer with Shaun Goodwin. All right, Shaun, I know you're a little sore today. Why don't you tell everybody why you're a little sore today?
I'm a little sore because of a Kansas City soccer media game masterclass. Now let me just tell you, the blue team, we've got Organ Media for all of KC Soccer and Children's Mercy Park. Blue team versus I forgot what the other team was at this point. Red, yellow. It doesn't matter because they lost and we won. We won 8-7. Scored a goal, couple of assists, can't complain. But the morning after, we're a little bit sore. Well, it's a good sore.
It is a good sore. So, on the pitch at Children's Mercy Park, a fun exercise. I know that I am much too out of the game shape to be engaging in anything quite like that. But, hey, look, the reason we were there was not to have a media game. That was a nice sidelight, but to listen to Peter Vermees, Hugh Williams, and Vlatko Andonovski. All of them talked to the media. It was a media day, and listen, it was scheduled a couple of weeks ago, and the idea, of course, to promote the U.S. Women's National Team game coming up against South Korea. I think it's on the 21st of October, and Hugh Williams to talk about KC NWSL, and Peter Vermees to discuss his hot Sporting Kansas City team. But that did not lead the press conferences yesterday. It was really interesting because of the events that have happened over the last, 5-6 days now. That started, at least in a big public way, with a story that was unveiled in The Athletic about abuse of women's soccer players by coaches. And this one focused in particular on the North Carolina Courage coach. And these were such damning allegations that the last weekend's games, NWSL games, were called off, and the commissioner resigned, and the league's lead counsel resigned. So a lot going on here.
Yeah, no, it's a lot going on. I mean, you kind of summed it all up. There's just so much to all of what ultimately is a obviously disgusting and massively disappointing chapter for what is a promising young league. It's only been around since 2013, and it's not just Paul Riley, North Carolina Courage and former Portland Thorns coach, but we've seen instances around the whole league of even toxic environments like out of Louisville. You've got general managers up in Gotham with, violating league sexual harassment policy. It's almost been just a whirlwind, a landslide of bad news after bad news for this league this season. And this kind of capped it all off. And hopefully it's the last one. But yeah, it's completely shook the league. As you said, all games were postponed this past weekend. There's no word on whether they'll be rescheduled yet. But teams do continue playing Wednesday nights, and these players, despite I'm sure the disgust and the fear and whatnot they're feeling, stronger than most of us, and they're out back playing Wednesday night. So good on them, but it's been a tough 5-6 days. It's only broke last Thursday.
Right. I guess I was impressed by the way that the press conference started off with Vlatko Andonovski, of course, coach of the U.S. Women's National Team and former coach of KCFC, the Kansas City NWSL team. They won a couple championships in 2014 and 15, and he's since gone on to become the manager of the national team. Listen, he didn't even take a question before getting into the topic. He addressed it right off the top and didn't duck any questions. And I thought that was the right approach. And Hugh Williams the same way, right? When media gathered around, Hugh Williams took every question. And I think this is the right approach for those who love the league and are concerned about the league, to speak up for the league and to condemn what's happened in a strong way. And that's what both of those coaches did on Tuesday.
Yeah, no, it's people in leadership positions who, they say they love the league. I mean, Hugh has been in this league pretty much since the start, obviously as general manager and assistant coach to Vlatko Andonovski at FC Kansas City. He's now obviously head coach of KC NWSL, and as you say, Vlatko, when you're the US women's national team head coach, you're kind of the face of women's soccer in this program, right? Which is why it was important for Vlatko to come out and, tackle the elephant in the room, so to speak, head on, because absolutely it would be a terrible look, but him or Hugh could come out and say, hey, look, we don't want to comment on this. We're not involved, blah, blah, blah. It would have been a bad look, but hypothetically it could have. But no, they didn't shirk away from responsibility and had very strong words to say on, where the league goes from here, condemning those who participated in sexual harassment and coercion and whatnot. Fair play to both of them. I wrote about Hugh, our good friend Varhey, who I'm sure everyone here is familiar with. He wrote a good piece about Vlatko, and you wrote a small piece about Vlatko as well, Blair. So yeah, that's all on kansascity.com, of course, not just shamelessly plugging our work, but what they said was important, and it should be read.
Yeah, also in the show notes as well. So we'll hear from Vlatko Andonovski before we take a break. But before we do that, Shaun, let's just talk about the team. What's coming up for KC NWSL, and how much season is left for the women?
Yeah, so they next play on Sunday, and they're against the Portland Thorns at home here in Kansas City. They get a nice slow run into the season, so they've got 4 games left, maybe 5 if they reschedule the cancelled game against OL Reign. But let's just take the 4 games left. 3 of those are at Legends Field. Portland Thorns is tough. You've got the Red Stars on the road. And Gotham FC at OL Reign, both at home, certainly games that, especially with how they've been recently form-wise, it's not blistering. But compared to how things were the first half of the season, they picked up wins at home, they're picking up ties. So, they're out of playoff contention. Let's not sit here and pretend they can make a late push. But at the end of the day, you want to finish strong, right? I think a big part of what the club wants to do as well is, I think even since last time we talked, they announced that they'll be moving to Children's Mercy Park next season for their games. Great. So, these are the last games at Legends Field. It's the first field they've played on as the new club, and they want to give it a good send-off. Should be, despite everything that's going on, should be a fun month of soccer until the final game on October 30th.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. That's fantastic that the women's team will play at Children's Mercy. And I know we talked to Peter about that a little bit yesterday and asked, well, why didn't it happen sooner? And one of the reasons is, multiple teams have been using Children's Mercy Park, right?
Yeah, and honestly, I think that's the first time I've really heard anyone from the club say that. I think a lot of people realised it, whenever there was kind of, especially when KC NWSL first kind of became a team and they went out to play Legends Field, there were people online getting annoyed of, why don't they play at Children's Mercy Park, blah, 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 because no one had really said. And the logical answer was, of course, obviously Sporting KC plays there, and then Sporting KC2 plays there. And even very occasionally, the academy teams will play there. I've seen the U16s and U18s play there occasionally. And it's, at the end of the day, it sucks, but it's Sporting's field, and they need to maintain it to a high enough level, for what they play on. Adding another team would tear up the field, and then even on top of that, it's just scheduling. But now, I believe SKC2 is moving permanently out to Swope, which then opens up space for KC NWSL to move in, which is great. And of course, me saying all of that, yes, they deserve to be on that field but just a a good field, a nice stadium. Of course, they deserve to be on there from season one. It wasn't feasible. You had to make do. Now they finally get to move into a great one of the best soccer stadiums in the nation. So great for them. I guess before we move on, Blair, because there's so much going on in these last months since we chatted. Obviously, you've got the new training facility too.
Right.
Up in North KC, 15 million, right on the riverfront. So, yeah, big moves from KC NWSL this off season going forward.
Absolutely. And I wouldn't be surprised if someday they have a stadium of their own.
Oh, for sure.
Somewhere in the metro area. So let's take a break. And as we go into break, you're going to hear from Vlatko Andonovski. This is what he had to say about the NWSL scandal that was first reported by The Athletic just a few days ago.
Thank you, everyone, first for being here today. And thank you, Sporting Kansas City, for organizing this this event. In light with everything that happened in women's soccer recently, I want to take this opportunity to share my emotions and share my feelings. And all I want to say that I'm saddened and disgusted by what happened and by the news that came out recently in the Athletic article. I feel like I have utmost respect for the players. I have respect for their bravery to speak out, and I applaud them for that. Now, we all have to take part in making sure that all these players have an opportunity to play in environments, in safe environments, and play the game that they love. I know it's hard time, but it will take a little bit of time for healing, and we as a national team and the federation will respect that as well. So with that being said, once again, I thank you, and I'll be more than happy to take any question in that regards, and in regards to the game that we're playing here in a couple of weeks.
First one will go to Vlatko Andonovksi, Kansas City Star.
Vlatko, good to see you, and thanks for addressing that right away. And I wonder what you would say about what you learned from that report. And you already started to address this, but what is it you feel you can do from your position to try to respond and take advantage of your platform?
Yes, thank you for the question. And like I said in the opening regards, that I was just disgusted by the details that I saw in the report. It was horrible to read through and read some of the details. We all, first and foremost, have to focus on making on creating safe environments, on creating trust between us and the players. Because when that trust is broken, bad things happen, and we learn that. And we got to make sure that we create safe environments, regardless of the gender, regardless of what level of competition we're talking about. We need to make sure that when the players come in to play the game that they love, the game that they're passionate about and enjoy, that they know that they don't have to look over their shoulder or be afraid of anything.
Next question will go to Greg Eklund with local NPR affiliate KCUR.
Hi, Vlatko. Not only as the coach of the women's team, but as a father, how concerned are you about oversight on these conditions at every level, not just women's national team, NWSL, but even on levels leading up to that, since you have a daughter who plays in college?
Yes. So when first personally, when I approach coaching or the relationship with the players, I see them as I see my daughter. And for the players that play for me, they know that when one of my philosophies, or actually my philosophy of the field, is creating a family type environment. And first and foremost, or first principle in that creating family type environment is the trust. And that's why I said, okay, we have to build trust. We have to be able to create a relationship where these players are going to trust us, and we can. Nobody should take advantage of that. It is very concerning to see all of it, and to see that there is an oversight. And I'm just glad that there's an investigation going on different levels, from the league perspective, even internally in the club perspective, and And on the national team or in the federation with Sally Yates coming in, Miss Yates, we know that she's going to do an incredible job, and nothing is going to get overseen, so overlooked. So I know that it's a little bit too late, but at least we can stop it now and not allow anything like this to happen ever in any sport or any environment.
Next question is to Ali Trost with Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Hi, Vlatko.
Hi.
I've talked with a lot of players who have played for you that I've just come across, and so many of them have just cited just the great relationship that they have with you, and I'm sure those aren't unique cases. Did you ever get any sense that things like this were happening in the league? Maybe not to the severity in which we learned in those reports from The Athletic, but was there ever any whispers or anything that you had heard prior to the reports that came out about these types of abuse and whatnot?
Absolutely not. I mean, that's why I was saying it was horrible to read this and to know that these things were happening around me and the players that I coached, or two players that I coached. It was tough to read, but at the same time, the whole time as I was reading, I was thinking about the players, because I'm sure it was a lot tougher for them. So I just want to support them with their fight. And all I can say is just encourage them to lead the way as they started, and we're going to follow.
Vlatko, Blair Kirkhoff with the Kansas City Stars. Good to see you again. You certainly bring a unique perspective here as someone who knows the league, and now you knew it through a team, but now you know it as your position here. And I'm just wondering if you believe the events of the last few weeks can have an impact on the growth and the momentum of the NWSL.
When something like this happens, it's not just going to go away like that. It will absolutely have an impact, and I'm actually worried about the league that I love. I mean, I owe so much to this league. I came out of this league, but I'm worried that events like this happen. We're talking about the last one, but there was a one before that, and there was one before that, and there is one before that. And it is unfortunate to open up the news, and instead of reading about good goals and nice plays and young players, the development, we're reading about scandals. It is unfortunate, but I think that at least for the immediate, the people that are in charge are not there anymore. That were in charge, because to me it looked like what they were focused on was not what we feel like it's the priority, and that's the safety of the players. For them, the priority was bringing sponsors and bringing finances to the league, which they failed in the most important thing.
Hey, it's Blair. We have a special subscription offer for SportsBeat KC listeners: unlimited digital access to the Kansas City Stars award-winning sports coverage. Sign up now for 1 year of Sports Pass for access to all the sports news, features, and columns presented on the kansascity.com site, and it's only $30. That's a 40% savings off our regular rate. Your subscription will automatically renew after the initial term at $50 unless you tell us to cancel. Your subscription helps support the sports coverage of kansascity.com and the Kansas City Star, and that support has never been more important. Please visit kansascity.com/SportsBeatKC offer to get this special offer. And as always, thanks for listening.
Back with Shaun Goodwin, we're talking soccer. And Shaun, since we last spoke, Sporting Kansas City has just continued to play well.
Yeah.
They're so much fun to watch. They're getting big seasons from their best players. I mean, it's like they're getting their Salvador Perez season, their Patrick Mahomes season, and they're getting it from Daniel Salloway, of course. And Johnny Russell really has come on strong here in the last few weeks. And he's in the news for other reasons as well.
Yeah, Johnny Russell, new contract for him. Basically, a new 2-year contract through 2023 with an option for 2024 as well. So he's got that going for him. He recently played his 100th regular season game for the club. And of course, as we know by now, he's the team captain. So when you're tied down with team captain and one of your best players, if not the best player, the most consistent player over the past 3 to 4 years, great news for Sporting KC for sure.
it seems like he takes all the penalty kicks now, right? I mean, it's just automatic that he's the guy. He also incurs a lot of the penalties, it seems to me.
Yeah, he's, when you've got quick feet and you can muscle your way past opponents, a lot of time, they take you down. Whether he stays on the penalties when Alan Pulido is back fully fit, we'll see. Honestly, he's been taking them, he's been scoring them. I don't see a reason why to change back to Pulido, especially considering Pulido has been out for so long. Approaching the playoffs, Pulido is playing 15 minutes, then 30 minutes, then Peter's just slowly working back in. So for Sporting KC fans worried about will Pulido be back for the playoffs, because it was the same last year, wasn't it, Blair? It was Pulido's out. He's like, he's just got a knock. He'll be back next game. We're not trying to rush him back. And then lo and behold, he never comes back.
Right.
Definitely fears about that. But after the most recent game for Sporting KC, got 4-2 win over Houston, Alan played half an hour. And I assume he might play 45 minutes next game or 60 minutes. So he should be back by the playoffs as well. I'm
getting to the point where, when he's taking a penalty kick, he can tell the goalkeeper exactly where he's going to put it and put it there. It wouldn't matter. I mean, that's how much power he has. And it's so left-footed dominant. He's been in town for a while now, playing for Sporting, and will be for another couple of years. And he's had great stretches, right? But he seems to be in one of those zones.
Yeah.
Goal every time he plays.
Yeah, he says it himself. Throughout his career, occasionally he may go through the occasional stretch of not scoring, but once he gets a goal, they come in bunches. And that's what we're seeing right now. I don't have his specific stats on mind, but I believe now he's on 10 goals and 8 or 9 assists. Like, he's getting real close to that 10-10 number that he's at every single season. It feels he started the season, I believe, with 12 games without scoring a goal, because he was coming back from injury a little bit. And, he had a pre-season injury, but he's the team captain and he's one of the best players on the team. And you have to remember, unless you're pulling in guys like Wilson Harris or Grayson Barber, who are the young kids, really, Sporting only has 4 senior attacking players. So he couldn't really afford for Johnny to be out injured for the start of the season. So he kind of forced his way through it. He wasn't up to full speed. But the second half of the season, basically since late June, early July, he's just been on fire. One of the best players in the league since that period. And if he put that kind of second half performance and did the same in the first half, I'm sure he'd be in the MVP conversation, just like Daniel Shalhoub, which I'm sure we'll talk about sometime soon. So yeah, Sporting certainly players are peaking at the right time, I feel.
And of course, we can't have a show without talking about Shalhoub, because he hasn't cooled off all season. It's really been an incredible year for him. We talked about Johnny Russell, a goal a game. It's been true with Shalhoub, and it's been that way throughout the season for him. He just has not cooled off, and he's had the international duty a couple of times already, right?
I know, yeah.
Will that continue? How about when the playoffs come around, the MLS playoffs come around, will Sporting be able to keep all of their guys, or will international duty interfere with some of that this year?
They should be good.
Scotty King, of course, is been called up.
So, for example, Hungary. So there might be. I haven't seen the playoff schedule exactly, but obviously right now, the players have left, but there's a break in the season. The final, at least for the European World Cup qualifiers, I think that usually lines up just as FIFA as a whole. November 12th and November 15th, Hungary has games. So again, as long as Daniel keeps up his form, I'm sure he'll be called up for that as well. So I don't have the playoff schedule on hand, but that could certainly be an issue. And the same, with Gadi Kinda in Israel, they'll have the exact same schedule. Alan Pulido in Mexico, they'll have the exact same schedule.
This is an issue often. What it means is you've got players that are good enough to play for their national teams, and which is a great thing, and it helps you certainly throughout the regular season. You just hope the schedules can fit in November.
Yeah, so while we're here, it'll be safe. Final game of the regular season is November 17th. As he says, going to be November 12th, November 15th, or whatever. Israel might be 11 and 14, I don't know. And then the playoffs start November 20th. Great MLS is scheduled around that. I would be surprised if MLS didn't schedule around it because you can't head into the playoffs missing your best players, right? All safe, not going to have to worry about Sporting's best players leaving at the wrong time.
Right. The chase for Seattle continues for Sporting Kansas City. And while they're chasing Seattle, they're trying to hold off Colorado. But it's pretty apparent that Sporting Kansas City is going to be a top three, no worse than a top three team in the West. Seattle's played right as of now one fewer game and have 2 points up on Sporting in the Western Conference standing. But there are advantages to to having the better seed, that's for sure. The hope is the team is just playing well, going into the postseason, and it kind of doesn't matter where you're playing and who you're facing. That you're ready to go. It would be nice for them to repeat, right? They won the West last year, and to repeat that. And what's really kind of fun about this Sporting Kansas City season, we talked about it months ago, is how this season was not projected for Peter Vermees' team. Nobody had Sporting as high as they are right now in the standing. They're surprising people, but they've been consistently good all season long, and that bodes well for them heading into the final weeks of the regular season and going into the postseason.
Yeah, I know. It absolutely surprises me why, start of the season that people didn't have Sporting higher. I mean, I remember way back at the start of the season, people were asking me, and whether it was, in print, radio, whatever it was, why Sporting are ranked so low. And I always figured it'd be Seattle, Sporting, and a little bit shamelessly, I figured LAFC would be up there. And LAFC is not up there. But I got 2 of the 3. I mean, it's a Peter Vermees team, right? There was the one blip in 2019. Now, Xardiakis is a team that finishes at the very least top 4, top 5. And that's at the very least. Plenty of times it's top 1, top 2. And here we are again, like you said, Blair. Seattle's 2 points up with a game in hand. But Sporting does travel to Seattle in a couple of weeks as well, of course, on October 23rd. So we have this break. Sporting plays at Vancouver, which will be a really tough game. This is the best the Caps have been playing in many years. You play Seattle. So, at that point, the teams, they've got a goal differential of it's 2 different. Seattle's 2 better. If Seattle ties one game and Sporting manages to win out, it's still, the fate isn't in Sporting's hands, so to speak. And winning out is such a tough ask as well, of course, because 6 games left, and one of them is at Seattle. But it's certainly doable. And of course, Colorado is sneaking up right behind as well. I really like Colorado. They're a great team. They're 4 points behind Sporting, but with a game in hand. That seems to be the top 3, minus an implosion for one of those teams late on. So it's a really exciting end to the season. Honestly, it was kind of similar last year, but I was COVID and it was points per game, and it was kind of funky. But this year, everyone's playing the same. It was a great battle down there right to the end for the Western Conference, at least. The Eastern Conference in New England's a bit boring, so we don't have to worry about those guys.
All right, sounds good. Shaun, it was great catching up with you. It's been too long, and we will do it again sooner rather than later. So listen, get some liniment, get a massage, get those muscles all worked out. We'll talk to you again soon.
Yes, thank you, Vlatko.
That'll do it for today. Thanks to our SportsBeat KC production staff of Beth Welsh, Monty Davis, Jeff Rosen, and Chris Fickett. Tip of the cap to Shaun Goodwin for stopping by and talking soccer. You can read about KC NWSL and Sporting Kansas City in the show notes and on kansascity.com. Okay, you know about the morning sports edition, right? You don't? Well, let me tell you about it. On kansascity.com, go to the Star Z edition. There's a replica of the printed newspaper on your screen that comes with your digital subscription. And now there's an updated sports section produced separately that goes along with it. When you open the e-edition, there's a box in the upper right-hand corner that says All Editions. Click on that and you can access anywhere from 15 to 25 pages of sports every single day. Look, maybe you get a link in the email. That's how I get it, and it's there by like 6:30 every morning. However you get it, it's access to complete coverage of the previous day's sports, news, features, statistics, everything. It's fantastic. All right, end of the commercial. Thanks for reading the Star and listening to our podcast lineup. You're helping support the best sports and news coverage in Kansas City, and we couldn't produce programs like SportsBeat KC without you. We'll be back on Thursday with another episode.